Why wait to earn the degree you deserve? You have the experience, you have the knowledge. Now's the time to get the credit for the work you've done and earn the recognition you deserve by starting your comeback at Purdue Global. It's time to earn a degree you'll be proud of, a degree that employers will respect. It's never too late. Never too late to come back stronger and move forward in your career. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu. Purdue's online university for working adults.
This episode is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. It's a special thing to be a member of Navy Federal because they are a member-owned, not-for-profit credit union that invests in its members with amazing rates and low fees. That's why members could earn and save more every year. Plus, they serve all branches of the armed forces, veterans, and their families. So if you're interested in becoming a member, learn more at NavyFederal.org. At Navy Federal Credit Union, our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA.
Episode 329, Doing Disney on a Budget with Lou Mongello.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast, where you'll learn to save money, embrace simplicity, and live a richer life. Here are your hosts, Jen and Jill.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast. My name is Jen.
My name is Jill.
And today we are doing a listener request, and only requested by listeners because I prodded you at an earlier episode to request it, and several of you did, about Disney on a budget, saving money on Disney. And very, very excited to have a kind of like a Disney legend, Lou Mongello, to talk about it.
And if you're a Disney fiend, Disney guru, you already know about Lou. For those who don't, well, it'll still be magical. We're bringing you some Disney magic.
Yes. And so if you ever want to take a trip to Disney, this is definitely one you're going to want to keep this in your pocket and listen. We are covering all the majors, all updated. So this is one you're going to want to run through. But first, before we get into the tips, this episode is brought to you by 13.1 miles. Yes, you could drive 13.1 miles in 20 minutes, or I don't know how long it takes. I didn't time it. Or you could take multiple hours to run it. I mean, sure, some people can do it in less, but if you're me, it's multiple hours. You can listen to a lot of Frugal Friends over that time. Don't have time to run 13.1 miles? Don't fret. You can get everything you love about Frugal Friends and more in the friend letter. We send it 3 times a week, and we've got your freebies for the week. We've got your savings tips, things across the internet that you would love to know about saving money. We compile it all into an email that you get in your inbox 3 times a week. It's like a text from your bestie, only it's in your inbox. And you can ignore all those marketing emails that want you to spend money because we want you to be able to save it. So frugalfriendspodcast.com/friend letter. It's definitely easier to read than it is to run 13.1 miles.
Wow, what a loosey-goosey, amazing tie-in, Jen. You can tell that the Disney half marathon is on your mind.
Yeah, well, specifically the Wine and Dine half marathon, because that's the one I'm training for.
It's the only one you'll do.
It
we
is
are
the only
food motivated.
Yes.
You already know this.
I've done Wine and Dine and Princess, and I do love those Disney races. I'm a fan of Disney because I love the Disney races. And so we're talking about parks today, though, because there's like literally no way to save on your running unless you're going to raise money for a charity. Then you can quasi get a free entry into your race. So maybe that is a tip for running. But if you don't want to run, listen to this episode with Lou Mongello. He is a former attorney who is the host of WDW Radio, podcast he has been doing for, 20 years at this point, all about the magic of the Disney parks, Disney Cruise Line, Marvel, Star Wars. He is also the founder of the Dream Team Project.org, which has raised over $500,000 for Make-A-Wish Foundation. He is fantastic. And I don't know if there's anybody that knows more about Disney then Lou Mongello. And so we are going to talk about the 4 bigs to saving at Disney. We're not going to talk about how to save money for a Disney trip or how to save money on getting there. We have several, we have 300 episodes on how to save money, and then a couple other episodes on how to save on travel. So like episode 284, how to hack your next vacation with Chris Hutchins. It talks a smidge about travel hacking, but really just general hacking travel. And then episode 250, how to save money on travel, frugal traveling. So, and then we have several actual like credit card point travel hacking episodes too. So definitely listen to those for money saving tips on how to get there. But with Lou, we're talking about saving money when you're there.
Let's get to Lou.
Lou, welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast. We are very excited to have you here.
Jen and Jill, thank you very much. I am excited as well. Really appreciate it. But I speak for a living. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you today.
Amazing. Well, let's just jump right in because I don't want to waste any time. I know we've got some Disney gurus listening in.
Oh my gosh. We have a lot of listeners, and this was a listener request. Well, this was kind of a goated listener request because I did not tell you this before we started recording. I love Disney. I'm a big fan of Disney, and I asked kind of selfishly if our listeners would like a episode on Disney. And I was like, but I'll only do it if other people want it. And we had like 2 people request it. And I was like, that's enough for me. So here we are.
Full disclosure, I could take it or leave it. So I'll bring some balance to this episode. But go ahead, Lou. Tell us about yourself. And let's just also jump into like money saving ticket. How do you save on tickets? Like, let's just start there.
Yeah, we want to hit the big 4 today. And I don't know what you consider the big 4, but for me, it's like tickets. And that includes like Genie Plus, hotels, food, and then just like activities. So that's what we want to hit today. If you're listening and you're like, what are we going to cover? That's it. So let's start it off.
So I'll quickly preface it by saying that it has gotten more complicated to go to Disney in recent years, not just in terms of when to go and where to go and what to do, but in terms of how to save money as well. And I think I'd love to sort of start off by sort of dispelling some of the misconceptions or misperceptions about going to Disney. It's prohibitively expensive. It costs $10,000 to take your family. It's $77 for a churro. I mean, it's pretty close. I mean, those are pretty
It's like 75 for a churro.
But there are a lot of ways to go to Disney World on a budget. There's also a lot of ways to go to Disney World if you're not on a budget as well. It's very easy to sort of do a luxury Disney experience, but they really have implemented a lot of things especially in recent years to make it more affordable for the average guest and family to be able to go. And I think you hit on a couple of the big sort of key points, which is knowing when to go, knowing where to stay, and having a strategy in terms of the tickets that you buy and the way that you actually approach the parks. And we can sort of break this down however you want, but I think if you want sort of just a very quick tip, I think knowing when to go to Walt Disney World is probably the thing that's going to save you the most amount of money, because sort of from a very simplistic 30,000 foot view, Disney, speaking specifically of Walt Disney World, breaks down the seasons of the year into value season, moderate season, high season, and pricing changes accordingly. Recently, that's even changed on sort of a daily basis, because theme park tickets prices will vary by the day that you go. So, trying to avoid summertime, spring break, Christmas, Easter, sort of those big sort of tent pole holidays is one of the best ways to save money. Of course, understanding that some people can only travel during certain times of year because of their teachers, their kids are in school, etc.
So what would you, if somebody could go at any time of the year, what would be like the best time to go?
So when you say best, I think that there's a balance you have to strike. in terms of best in terms of value and best in terms of crowds, best in terms of weather. If you're going on July 4th weekend, God bless you.
God help you.
It's wonderful and you get the fireworks, but it's hot and it's crowded and it is one of the most expensive times of the year. In terms of and it's a broad stroke of the brush here because it depends on holidays, etc. But September and January and February are sort of really kind of the sweet spots in terms of the least expensive prices for resorts, least expensive prices for tickets. Your crowd levels are lower. And especially in January and February, your outside temperature and relevant humidity is also going to be lower as well.
And your chance for hurricane is lower in January and February.
Yeah, your chance of hurricane is lower. And I think sometimes the hurricane thing gets blown out. Orlando is very, very far inland. So the hurricanes are sort of few and far between. They get a lot of attention. But I had more hurricanes in New Jersey than I did since I moved to Florida.
Right? That's the
that's
thing.
crazy.
Other places get them too. Before we move on to the other three of the big four, curious your thoughts on related to tickets, Genie Plus. Like what is that? I know they've kind of renamed it. Is it worth it?
So Genie Plus is a replacement for what was the Fast Pass system, which was a way to be able to get a specified return time in order to go to some of the more popular attractions without having to wait on the standby line. In recent years, that's been replaced by Genie Plus and the Genie system. And again, there's a lot of confusion. We can take 2 hours sort of explaining the complexities of Genie Plus, but it does allow the opportunity to, via the app, get specified return times. There also is a Genie Plus, which is a paid option where you can pay for some of the bigger, more popular e-ticket attractions to have a specified return time for a specific dollar figure per guest per day. So if you wanted to ride Rise of the Resistance or Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, you can buy a lightning lane, which will allow you to return at a specified time. Again, depending on crowd levels and popularity, that dollar figure could be $10 to $27 per person per attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the confusion is a prohibitive factor for me. Like I want to just go and I want to have fun, but I'm learning that like you need to be a person who has really dug in and done a lot of research, in my opinion, to get a very good experience where you're not spending a ton of time in lines, which is why we go to people like you to get all of like the best tips, but so much confusion. And I don't know if that's on purpose or what, but
I think it's on purpose. I think it's sometimes an unfortunate but necessary result of the fact that the parks are very crowded. People don't want to wait in line. There is a way to make you have a more efficient and effective time in the parks, but the only way to do that is, fortunately or unfortunately, by having some sort of a financial based system, right? Because giving everybody Fast Pass means now the Fast Pass line is going to be as long as the standby line. And to be clear, you can walk into the park as long as you have a ticket and a reservation. You can walk into the park and sort of wing it and still have a great time. You will have a better and dare I say sometimes even exponentially better time if you do some of that planning and preparation ahead of time. You go in a little better armed and prepared in terms of how to approach the day and how to approach the parks.
Yeah. And when you go in those, off seasons, January, February, September, sometimes you limit, like you don't need Genie Plus at all or fewer. I still haven't been on Rise of the Resistance because I can't get it. I've never been able to get on that ride.
And ironically, I have been.
Yeah. And so, but I haven't been to Hollywood Studios in a while, but so yeah, that's like something I would pay for, but I would go maybe in January and not have to get Genie Plus for all the other things and just buy the, one thing I want. So there can be a balance too. But yeah, I know my friend Allison went during spring break and they did Genie Plus. They got it for everything all day, whole trip. And she said it really did make a difference. Like it was the one thing that was worth the money for them.
And I think it's a very subjective thing, right? You have to determine where the balance really is, you're only there for a couple of days, is making sure you and your family and your kids get to experience all the things they want to do. Or if you're really looking to go on a budget, are you willing to have some of those trade-offs, yet still have a great time, but running the risk that you might not get to experience everything that you want to do while you're there?
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about staying at Disney. What are your best tips for saving on hotels? Do you recommend Airbnbs? Like, what is the sleeping situation with saving money?
Again, first things first, the time of year that you go is going to save you. I'm not talking like saving $10, $20, $30. I'm talking hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. There's that much of a difference if you go in some of the off seasons. Again, it's a subjective thing. How important is your resort experience to your overall Walt Disney World visit? There are value resorts, moderate resorts, deluxe resorts, Disney Vacation Club accommodations that really run a very wide spectrum. And from the value resort perspective, the resorts are wonderful. They're very, very well themed. One of my favorite resorts is Disney's Art of Animation Resort. It is themed towards Cars and The Lion King and The Little Mermaid. Very fun, very whimsical. I very highly recommend staying on property because I think you want that all five senses, 360-degree, 24/7 Disney experience that you do lose. I know a lot of people like to stay off property. They get an Airbnb and B&B and like, well, it's only a 20-minute drive. Well, that 20-minute drive is more than a 20-minute drive, right? That's going to be a chunk out of your day to get in the car, schlep, pay to park, right? As opposed to if you stay on property, you can park for free or take the internal transportation, which is complimentary. And it does sort of disrupt the day a little bit, especially if you have young kids, maybe want to go back, swim in the middle of the day. Now, all of a sudden, it's getting to the car, driving off property, getting back on property. So I very highly recommend. But if you're trying to save money, you can and will have a very wonderful, magical, Disney-filled experience at the value resorts. And certainly, depending on how much you want to spend, how important your resort is to you, you can very much upgrade to higher end resorts that are closer to the parks. Some of them are sort of border the parks and you can walk right into them as well.
I've heard great things from people who stay at the campgrounds too. And that might be the value accommodations that you're talking about, but you get that magical experience at the park and then some of the fun of camping, at least for those who find camping fun.
And there are people who they live and swear by the campgrounds. They will go there, bring their RV and come and stay for 30 days and literally make camp there. I'm not a camper, maybe a little bit of a glamper I'd like to do. And they have cabins there. But if you're going to literally pitch your tent in the middle of August and stay outside.
Same. I'm not a camper. I do not like to camp. I do not like to sleep outside.
Yeah.
But I do. I think my resort of choice when I go there is I like to be a little bougie, but not too much. So Coronado, which is the just a tiny step above the value, but seems like it's so nice and it's so much less expensive than the other nicer resorts. Mm-hmm. So
I love Coronado. I think it's beautiful. The new Gran Destino Tower is spectacular. It has some of the best dining in all of Walt Disney World in terms of fine dining, casual dining. Three Bridges Bar and Grill that is an overwater restaurant is spectacular. You don't necessarily have monorail access or Skyliner access. You do need to take the internal bus system or have a car, but the resort is beautiful. And you're right. I think it's a deluxe resort that comes in at moderate prices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of dining, my favorite thing to talk about is food. What do you have to say about ways to save on food while doing this Disney vacation?
I want to spend a lot of time here, Lou. So really give it to us.
I literally sat up in my seat.
I love it.
This is probably built by Disney. The whole thing about calories not counting in Walt Disney World, it's a lie. It's an absolute lie. I can swear that that's not true. Again, if you're thinking about coming to Walt Disney World and budget is important, food can and very easily get very expensive. But there's a lot of ways to I don't want to say get around that, but I think being strategic in terms of how you dine, maybe not doing a sit-down table service restaurant for breakfast, lunch, and dinner is going to save you, one, a lot of time, much more efficient day. It's also going to save you a lot of money. Some of the best meals I've ever had anywhere are at counter service locations in the Disney parks and at the resorts. Years ago, they used to have a dining plan, which since COVID has not necessarily come back yet, it is going to be coming back at some point, that literally, depending on which plan that you chose, would afford you table service credit, counter service credits, and snack credits to help you sort of budget your day. But if you are looking to go and the finances are really important, you can sort of think about sort of what your dining budget can be. I'm a big proponent of, when you get up in the morning, maybe having, cereal or Pop-Tarts or whatever your thing is in the room, or grabbing something quick and going. And then I like to save my time, my money, and my calories for a counter service lunch, and then maybe treating myself to a table service dinner. You can also bring in your own snacks. I think people don't realize, depending on how you want to do it and how heavy you want your backpack to be, you can bring in bottles of water, which I highly recommend, right? Rather than buying $4 or $5 bottles of Dasani water, bring in a refillable water bottle. There's water bottle stations everywhere. Counter service locations will give you cups of water if you need to, but bring in snacks as well too. You don't necessarily have to get all the Disney snacks, although again, I love them very much. So you have to sort of determine what your sort of daily budget is going to be and how you want to space that out. Again, this is where planning comes into play too. If you want to do table service restaurants, I very highly recommend planning your advanced dining reservations before you go, because some of the more popular reservations will fill up, especially at some of the busier times of year.
I was pleasantly pleased to find out that you could take snacks and water bottles into the parks. I grew up around an amusement park where no of those things were allowed. You had to leave the park, go out to your car if you wanted to eat your packed lunch. So to me, that's an incredible perk and something really kind, I think, that Disney does, and really does help, at least when I've gone, to reduce what I want to spend on the food there. My sister and her kids came to Disney, and since I live close, I would drive in and pick up Panera on my way and bring them breakfast. Everyone's fed and we can just blitz it out, eat some of the snacks we brought, and then get a nice meal while we're there. So that was how we did it. But I am curious your thoughts on, you've said some of the best food you've gotten from that counter service. What would you recommend if someone's saying, I'm budgeting for this, but that means a spending plan? Where are you recommending that they go if they want the best bang for their buck?
So there's a couple of different ways to answer this question. So in recent years, Epcot has had usually 4 or sometimes 5 festivals throughout the year. The date of those festivals has been expanded. So for example, right now, as we're recording this, August 1st, the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival just started. That's going to run through November. And there are, I think this year, forgive me if it's 30 or so marketplaces on the Epcot Promenade that you can go and get small, bite-sized, sometimes even shareable items that can run anywhere from $5 to $9 to $12. That's a really great way to sample not just some of the different sort of flavors from around the world, but sort of eat your way around Epcot as well. And there's festivals going on there all the time. I'll go quickly park by park. I think in Magic Kingdom, my favorite quick service location, God, I love them all so very much. Let's say I love Columbia Harbor House in Liberty Square in Epcot. I am a monstrous fan of the Japan Pavilion. They have a grill called Katsura Grill, which is this beautiful sort of tea house with bamboo outside and a little koi pond and a waterfall. The food is spectacular. At Disney's Hollywood Studios, Woody's Lunchbox, which is in Toy Story Land, which is incredibly well themed. The loaded tater tots.
Yes. It's the only thing I like there. Unpopular opinion, I don't love the food, but that's good. Yep. Toy Story, go there. Get the tots.
And in Disney's Animal Kingdom, one of the best restaurants counter or table service is called Satuli Canteen in Pandora, the world of Avatar. It's basically a create your own bowl. You pick the different ingredients, you make your own bowl. It's fresh. It can be healthy if you want it to be. And the food is spectacular there. And they all come in at pretty reasonable prices as well.
Yeah, I agree with all of those. I also like in Magic Kingdom that it's called like a Cheshire Cat tail or the Cheshire tail. It's like a chocolate croissant with like purple and pink frosting on top. You get that with a coffee. I think so. I go like opposite of you, Lou. Like I'll do breakfast in the parks and then like do dinner on my own because I think there's so much good breakfast at Disney. Like the Mickey waffle over at I mean, you can get it a lot of places, but like with Nutella and berries, or the Cheshire Cat tail, or even like the buffets. Like if you wanted to do a character buffet, like it's much cheaper to do a breakfast one than it is like a lunch or dinner. So like I love it for breakfast, and then like will sustain myself on snacks that I have brought for the rest of the day.
Your carb loading throughout the day is the way. It's more nutritional than it is anything else.
You're basically running a marathon or walking a marathon. So you should carb load in the morning.
You will get your 10,000 steps.
Yes. The average guest walks anywhere from like 8 to 9 miles a day in the parks.
Yeah.
That's craziness.
You're really, you do it for exercise, you know, go to Disney for exercise, really.
Yeah, definitely. As I'm like currently training for the Wine and Dine half marathon, like right now. Yeah. And then I'll be doing even more walking in the parks. It's so, sometimes I wonder why I hate myself, but it's okay.
AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing. And of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/strategic. That's oracle.com/strategic. oracle.com/strategic.
We know New Year's resolutions often don't stick. In fact, on average, they last around 30 days. So if saving money is on your 2024 resolution list, here's a foolproof way to stick to yours.
Switch your phone provider to Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for $15 a month.
For those of you paying close to $40 a month for just one phone line, this means a savings of $300 over the course of the year. We especially like Mint because all plans come with unlimited talk and text and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network.
To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/frugal. That's mintmobile.com/frugal. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/frugal. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Any more food tips? Like, is there anything outside of the parks that you like for food that people may not know about? Like, as a local, like insider tips?
So I think Disney Springs, which is a shopping, entertainment, dining venue that you don't need a ticket to go into it. For me as a local, I'll tell you that I go to Disney Springs more than I go to the Disney parks. And that's not hyperbolic. Like, it's actually true. I was there twice last week, usually going there because of the food. I think Disney Springs has some of the Boathouse in Disney Springs is my favorite restaurant on the planet.
Ooh.
Period. Like, it's ladies, when you come out, we're going to go to the Boathouse.
Hey.
I've never been. I've been to Homecoming, and that's one of my favorite restaurants.
Oh, Homecoming's good too.
Yeah.
Homecoming. Homecoming brunch on the weekends is spectacular. But there's also a number of great counter service locations in Disney Springs. Again, if you don't want to or spend the money on a park ticket, you can really kind of spend the day wandering and enjoying and exploring what Disney Springs has to offer. A Chicken Guy by Guy Fieri is fantastic. And it's probably, I think right now, it is the best value anywhere on property. I think 3 fresh made, not heavily breaded and fried, delicious chicken tenders. There's like 22 different sauces you can choose from. I think 3 of them come in at under $5.
Whoa.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, it is a good value.
It's a really good value. Pepe by Jose Andres also is a counter service location. Very, like, people just walk by it because it's really small. I think it's one of the best food in Disney Springs. There's a poutine. There's a daily poutine stand, which, again, body built. If French fries were a health food, I would be an Adonis. So like French fries with gravy on it, doesn't
so
better.
Good.
You and my
also
husband
sustain
could
yourself
live on French fries.
one Gideon's cookie. You could probably sustain yourself for the day.
Also
one
true.
cookie. Mm-hmm.
And the peanut butter cold brew coffee will change your life forever.
Sounds gross, but I'll try it.
God. Listen, when you guys come out, clear your calendars. We're going to spend a day clear your calendars and bring stretchy pants because we're going to spend a day.
Okay, convince me. I'm excited.
I only bring stretchy pants to Disney. Those are the only pants I bring. So, all right. So let's finish this conversation, round it out with activities. So yes, there's rides and walking. But are there any other free or low-cost things families can do inside and then also outside of the park that people may not be aware of?
There's actually a ton. And I think this is one of the things that people don't think about too. When you go to Disney, especially if you go into the parks, I like the fact that you might see the price of a park ticket and get sticker shock. One thing that I will say is the longer you stay, the less expensive your day-by-day ticket is going to be. They encourage you, and I think you want and need to spend as much time as you can. So having more time actually reduces the price of your ticket. It also reduces sort of the stress and pressure of trying to do it all. But there's a ton of stuff that you can do both in the parks and outside the parks. This is not meant to sound like a shameless plug, but it's actually going to be. I have a free guide. It's 102 things to do in Walt Disney World at least once. And as part of that book, there's also 40 free things to do, see, eat, and enjoy while you're there. It costs nothing if you don't mind me saying, if you just go to www.radio.com, right on the homepage, just sign up for the newsletter and I'll send it right to your inbox. But in each of the parks, I think there's a lot of activities. And sometimes I always recommend to people, if you have the time, don't get a park ticket for one day. Do things like go to Disney Springs and wander around. Do a resort tour. Hit some of the other resorts, especially during the holidays. I love going to visit a lot of the different resorts because they have not just different themed holiday decorations, depending on where you are, especially if you go places like Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge, you're going to see very different holiday decorations than you will over at Disney's Beach Club, at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort. There's gingerbread. Like when I say gingerbread houses, I don't mean the ones that you get at the grocery store. I mean like life-size gingerbread houses and carousels that, yes, are edible and you can buy pieces of gingerbread as well, as long as we're talking about food. But even in the off seasons, going to visit some of the resorts, each of the resorts too, especially when you stay on property, go to the front desk. They'll give you, and I think it might even be in the app too. They'll give you a list of daily activities. So there's games and stuff that kids can do out by the pool. There are different like craft making activities. There's guided tours of the resorts. There are free, ladies, follow me around the room. There are free themed and culinary tours of Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. So you can go and learn about places like Boma and Chico, and then you might even get a little sample of food for free.
I love that.
While you're there. Yeah.
Oh. I love touring and samples.
I love
and
samples.
Free is not
Yes.
I love it.
This is frugal friends. We need to throw the word free in there. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I love that area. Like I went to college in Orlando, and so we would go over there all the time. And like we wouldn't go into the parks, but we would just go to all of the touristy things that are all around there. And some of them are a little tourist trap. Some of them are a little less exciting than I remember them being. Like I took my friends in January to this quirky gift shop that is that has a very large wizard head on top of it. And it was far less exciting than I remembered it being. But
well, because you see a sign outside that's like 9 T-shirts for $4. You're like, oh, this is where I need to go to get my souvenirs.
Yeah, I would say no, but not save it, pre-buy them on eBay and take them into the park. That's
actually, here's the tip. If you really want to save on souvenirs, because yes, it can get very expensive. One, like buy them maybe ahead of time. But if you have time and if you have a car when you come down here, go to Walmart, go to Target, because the local Walmart and Targets have like authentic licensed Disney. It's not like the stuff you're getting from the Wizard store sometimes, which may or may not be licensed, but it's authentic and licensed merchandise. So if you want to get like autographed books, T-shirts, hats, water bottles, keychains, you can save a ton of money by taking a little trip or even like grabbing an Uber and going to the local Walmart or Target.
Lou, I'm going to put you on the spot here and we can edit this out if this is too complicated of a question. And I recognize it's subjective, but if someone were to go to Disney and want to hack it as much as possible, what would you say is potentially the lowest amount someone could expect to pay per person per day?
So I'm hesitant. So I'm a recovering attorney. So I'm hesitant to give you numbers because I don't want somebody to walk up to the ticket counter and go, Lou Mongello.
I know. That's why it's a fun question.
But I'll say this. I think if you go in value season and you stay at a value resort, potentially take advantage of. So there's one word we haven't talked about are discounts. And yes, there are discounts available at Disney. If you are a Florida resident, if you buy your tickets in advance, you will actually save money if you buy your theme park tickets in advance from Disney than if you sort of show up at the gate. If you show up at the gate at 10 o'clock in the morning, like, we're going to have a magical day today, you've lost, right? Because you're not there at no job. I think, and again, I'm ballparking, but I think that you can potentially save like $17 to $20 per ticket. Like if you buy like a park hopper ticket 3 days or longer at the gate versus buying it online, I think you can save like $20 per ticket per person, right? So that's, if you have a large family, multiple days, that starts to add up. But if you know that you're a person that's going to come to Disney, and I think the break even is around 9 days or so a year, you might want to look into buying an annual pass, which you're like, that doesn't make any sense. I live in Delaware. Again, if you come to Disney World twice a year, it may pay off because one, you're sort of pre-buying your days in the park, which is going to be much cheaper. You also get discounts, like 20, 30% on discounts, food, on hotels, food and merchandise. But there's also other discounts if you are military, first responder, civil service. There's some corporate and government discounts as well. So, for example, if you work for Hewlett Packard or some of the other companies that are sponsors and partners of Disney, they often have, go to your HR department, they often have corporate tickets that you can get at a discount. If you're a Canadian resident, there's ticket discounts.
Hey, Canada.
Hello, Canada. AAA and CAA, they have great discounts all the time as well. One thing I do not recommend, and again, you go do you, but if you're driving down and you're on 192 going through Kissimmee and you're like, oh, discount tickets, let's go pull in there. Be prepared to be taken away in a van to an 8-hour timeshare presentation. Like, again, mazel tov, if that's your thing. But, it's not necessarily, I think, the most effective and efficient way to save money on tickets.
Yeah.
Yes. Isn't there also a hack, like if you're buying them on the Disney website and it's the price you pay per day is like dependent on the day you start your trip, and you can get it cheaper if maybe you pick a different start day?
Absolutely. Flexibility is going to be your greatest asset, as flexible as you can be. And because the prices are laid out very clearly on the DisneyWorld.com site, you really get a sense. I mean, you can sort of see the broad picture and say, look, if we just push our trip back 4 days, we're going to save X amount of dollars per ticket. All those little savings really do add up. And again, like the reason why I wrote and now it would be even more, my 102 ways to save money for an at Walt Disney World book is because there literally are like hundreds of ways. And some of the ways, if you execute them, will save you just, hundreds, if not thousands right off the bat. But if you start stacking those up, like I've had people reach out to me and say, we've literally saved thousands of dollars on our trip. They ended up spending it back because they bought their kids souvenirs and a lot more food. So how you want to save and spend is up to you. But it is the reason why, and again, I don't mean to sound like a shameless plug, but it's the reason why I wrote the book was because how do I save money going to Walt Disney World? Still, after almost 19 years of doing this, is the number one question that I get. And when you get the same question 3 times, you're like, it's a common problem. I need to try and help people solve it.
Yeah, amazing. Well done circumventing the actual question. Still giving us tips, but no monetary number. Yeah, I'm impressed.
I respect. Something else I respect.
And
we're going the same direction.
The real thing. The bill of the week.
That's right. It's time for the best minute of your entire week. Maybe a baby was born and his name is William. Maybe you paid off your mortgage. Maybe your car died and you're happy to not have to pay that bill anymore. Duck bills, Buffalo Bills, Bill Clinton. This is the bill of the week.
Lou, every week we invite our listeners and or our guests to present us with their bill for the week, their favorite bill, person, place, thing. And we know you have one prepared for us, and we are excited to hear it.
Well, don't be excited yet, because I want to make sure I'm in the spirit of, I heard the bill of the week, and in order to keep it in the same sort of theme of what we're talking about, I thought about Disney and bills. Don't worry about the bill that you're going to get, your credit card bill when you go home, because it's incredibly frightening. Just enjoy your time while you're there. But I'll give you a little piece of Disney history, because did you know at one point Disney had their own bills? They had their own Disney dollar bills, and Disney dollars. Right? Look at your surprised face. I love it.
Yeah. No, I didn't know.
Disney dollars were actually a form of like real currency that you could use at Disney. It was created by the Disney company, and you could use them in Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And literally, like, one of the legendary Imagineers and marketing guys was like, wait a minute, like, we're bigger than a lot of small countries. Like, why don't we have our own currency? And they were, I think it was one of the first, if not the first, private organizations in the country to print its own money and have it accepted in the theme parks like the dollar. So in 1987, they launched Disney dollars, and you can find this. I think there's actually YouTube videos, like in Anaheim at Disneyland, motorcycle police officers escort this armored truck with Scrooge McDuck, the Secretary of the Treasury, into there, and unloaded sacks of Disney dollars at the ticket booths. And each bill, I wish I had one to show you, like $1, I think, had Mickey, 5 had Goofy. There was a $10 one with Minnie. And then for the 50th anniversary of Disneyland, they had a $50 bill with a special Mickey on it. So it was brilliant marketing, because people were buying them going, oh, here, kid, let's just budget our day. But what ended up happening is people would buy them. They became collectibles and souvenirs. So you're basically just buying money and then putting it. I actually have a Disney dollar in here.
Of course you do. 100%. Yes, you do.
I don't know where it is. I have a lot of stuff, as you can see. But yeah, so they became collectible. They don't make them anymore. So now they're even more collectible and valuable.
What was the value? Like, what's the conversion rate of a Disney dollar to a US dollar?
It was 1 to 1.
Oh, was it?
So yeah, there was no, like, you just exchanged. It was like a currency exchange. And it was 1-to-1.
Wow.
And they were hoping you'd have dollars left over from your trip, and then they would have the actual U.S. currency, and you would be left with a piece of paper that wasn't good anywhere else.
You better believe it.
Oh my gosh, Disney.
Oh, this is a wild
Disney does it again.
bill. And incredible, Lou. You knew the assignment. You did it.
Yes, you did it.
Amazing. We learned something. We were shocked and shook. Still kind of confused. If you want to submit your bill, if it has to do with a currency that was developed privately or literally any other type of bill.
Or in your honor.
Yeah, right? Visit frugalfriendspodcast.com/bill. Leave us your bill.
We all agree that reducing carbon emissions is a good thing. And once again, Toyota is leading the way. We hear a lot about fully electric vehicles, and Toyota has them with more on the way. But we also know a BEV is not for everyone, whether it's because of cost, range, or concerned about finding a charging station when you need it. Plus, the raw materials used to manufacture batteries are limited. Enter Beyond Zero, Toyota's vision for a carbon-neutral future, in vehicles and in manufacturing plants too. In the years ahead, the materials used to make just one long-range battery for an EV could be used to make batteries for 6 plug-in hybrids or 90 gas-electric hybrids. That's why Toyota's position today is electrified, diversified, empowering you to choose how to reduce your own carbon footprint with a vehicle that's right for you, a hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or battery EV. So shop, learn more, and get details at toyota.com/beyond zero. Toyota, let's go places.
It's never too late. Never too late to earn a degree. Never too late for a comeback. Between your busy career and taking care of a family, it can feel like there's never a good time to go back to school. But your time is now. Time to start your comeback with Purdue Global. As Purdue's online university for working adults, Purdue Global is dedicated to supporting adults like you who know it's time to earn the recognition you deserve. You have the experience, you have the knowledge, it's time to get credit for the work you've done. You can balance work, family, and everything in between while earning your degree. It's time to move forward in your career, for your family and for yourself, with a degree you're proud of, a degree that employers will recognize and respect. You're worth this investment in yourself to earn a degree you deserve. It's never too late. Never too late to go back to school and come back stronger with an education you can trust. Now is the time for your comeback. Start yours today at purdueglobal.edu.
And now it's time for
The lightning round. Pew, pew. Yep, that's exactly. Yep, you got it. You got it.
we get
how I feel
wild
too.
at the end of this show.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So this is our vulnerability round, but it's not going to get too vulnerable in this question. We just want to know, we're all going to answer it, your best/most memorable Disney park experience. And Lou, this might be hard for you, but we'll have you go first.
I have many. I've been very blessed to do what I do for a long time, but probably one of my most profound memories is being with my daughter, who was born on Mickey's birthday. No way, we didn't plan it that way. Seeing her face sitting covered in ice cream, sitting on Main Street, USA, watching the parade go by, just wide-eyed, and then there's me behind her, just crying, blubbering like a wonderfully mature man that I am.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't. So I love Disney, but I didn't get into Disney until I had kids. That was what did it for me. Like, I'd always been to Disney in college, but could take it or leave it. And when I had my son and I put him in that Mickey Mouse onesie and he got into Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, that was the gateway. And yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, don't they say
Those are
that
it.
really about parenthood as a whole? Like, it kind of is ho-hum life. And then you have a kid and you get to re-experience things through their eyes, which can give life new meaning. So yeah, as a parent, taking your kid to Disney and experiencing it, but also experiencing it through them, I can see how that would be really meaningful.
Seeing their little eyes look at the fireworks.
Assuming they're not afraid and screaming.
I know,
sound
right?
of
It's always a risk you
explosions.
take, but Kai was okay. So, oh, Lou, yes. Okay. That one was really good. Jill, can you top it?
Now, you know me. I'm not a Disney adult. I have made that clear, but I'm here for the rest of you. I support you in your dreams. We did go as...
We're going to find a way to convert you. We're going to find your entry point into Disney and the thing that you love that you can experience at Disney.
Okay.
I mean, we've been to Disney before. Jill and I, so we went to Disney together in, what was it, the second week of March, 2020.
Like 2 days
We
before
went.
they shut down.
Yeah. We went together.
Yeah.
And
Anyhow,
that was probably
that's
the
not
last
my
time I was at
memory.
Hollywood Studios.
What I'm going to choose is something a little bit more funny to me. We did go as a child with my family, and my dad had gotten Pacers hats. Mind you, we're from the Philadelphia area. Like, Pacers are an Indiana basketball team. We have no family from Indiana, like nothing. But he had gotten Pacers hats for all of us to wear. They weren't the right size, nothing fit, and it wasn't Disney because God forbid, but Pacers hats, so that he and my parents could spot us, because we grew up in the age of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Home Alone. I don't know, parents were losing their children left and right. So I think this was his attempt to, like, I'm going to spot them. You know, if they're lost in a crowd, they're going to be wearing these Pacers hats. And we hated them. Like, of course we hated them. They weren't Disney. They didn't fit. We didn't understand them. We hated matching each other, but we had to wear the Pacers hats for our entire Disney experience so that if we got lost, our parents could spot us in the crowd.
Poor dad was probably so proud of himself,
He
too.
was so proud of himself.
I believe that he
I'm
would
not going to lose my kids. Yep.
Yep, I got these
Found
yellow Pacers
Indiana
hats.
hats.
Yep. And I saved more
Indiana
money
hats on sale.
than all these goofballs out here. I only spent $1 per hat.
And they're yellow, so I'll be able to see them for sure.
And then, of course, we were pretty poor, so the only characters we could see are like the Alice in Wonderland characters. I'd never even seen Alice in Wonderland. And then, the Queen of Hearts signed my autograph book, but she really scared me. She was very mean, and I cried. So that was my Disney experience. Pacers hats and the Queen of Hearts yelling at me. Okay, Jen.
Golden.
Yeah, I mean, it is fun. It's funny and fun now.
Yeah. So I love taking my son. We got to take him several times before he turned 3. And we haven't been back. We haven't been back since we had to pay for him. But now that I have another child, I think we'll go back before we have to pay for him. So I will get. I took a work trip in January and went to Disney.
She used quotes for those of you who aren't seeing her, which is everyone.
It was a podcasting conference. And we skipped the first day of the conference and went to Disney. So, but it's peripherally park related. It's running the half marathons. So like every finish line for one of the Run Disney half marathons is like, I cry. Well, I cry at the starting line too. When the fireworks go off for every corral, I shed a tear for every single corral. And now they break up the corrals too. So it's not just one per corral, it's like 3. So like by the time we get to me, because I'm slow, I am bawling because of all the fireworks. So I start crying and then I also end crying because I'm like so proud of myself because I am not super athletic and I like running is like a very mental sport for me and I am bad at it and that's kind of why I do it. And so I'm just so happy when it's over, like that I did it.
Is this what it is? Is it tears? Is it like if you have tears, it creates a core memory and so like extreme emotion? Is that the Disney magic is you need to cry? All of our stories had tears involved.
Ours were happy tears.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we're going to get you here. We're going to get you to eat, and we're going to get you to cry. That's my goal.
No.
Yeah, I think that was the problem. When we went, you didn't cry.
Yeah.
So
I don't cry it much, but I mean,
We're
sure.
gonna cry whether you like it or not, kids.
Yeah, we can give it a
Yes.
try.
All right, well, there's the tip. If you want your children to remember this Disney trip that you're paying a lot of money for, they better cry by the time you leave. And that's, I think, the biggest piece of advice we could give you. And I think Lou would agree. Lou, where can people find more from you and more information about like how to make their children cry at Disney?
You can find everything that I do, the podcast, live video, events, and books and whatnot at wdwradio.com. And everything that I do sort of on the business side of what I do in speaking and coaching, you can find at loumongello.com. And I'm at Lou Mongello on all social.
Amazing. Thank you, Lou. This has been incredible. Excited
You
for
guys-
all of your tips. Wow. I'm over here just smiling, gazing upon you and Lou, just really geeking out over some Disney stuff. I mean, I'm here for it. I'm living off of that excitement a bit here, but it is really cool to hear some more about what should you be focusing on? Where can you slice and dice from someone who really knows the ins and outs of it? Because I think that's, as I even alluded to in the episode, a little prohibitive for me in just not knowing what I don't know, but not totally wanting to spend a ton of time scouring all that the internet has, because there is a lot on
So much.
what is even possible. Am I imagining that there's a way to save that just doesn't exist? And then where are the ways that I can cut? And it truly does come down to what do you value? Because there's always going to be ways to cut, but there's going to be some people who want to spend on resorts and some people who would rather spend on the Genie Pass. So I think it was really helpful to kind of pare it down to what am I going to want out of my experience? And then what can I cut as a result? So really helpful.
Yeah, I think the best piece of advice is to definitely choose what you want to include. The goal isn't to get the cheapest trip possible,
Right.
but to do everything you can to stack those savings, like Lou was saying, so that you can spend money on the things that really are important to you. Like for a lot of people, it's going to be those Genie passes. So there are, you can stay off property if maybe your kids are older and you don't think you'll want to do those midday naps or pool days. Yeah, you'll have to spend $25 a day on parking, but if you're saving $50 a night on your stay, you're still making out okay. So take everything, and there are far more ways to save that we couldn't get into, but I think we really got into the best ones here, and make a decision based on your values and your family's values too.
Well, thanks everyone so much for listening. We many of you know that we do have a membership for our listeners who are paying down debt, who might even be saving for vacations, all kinds of things with money. And we've got money challenges that we do monthly, where you can also get into accountability groups and help one another work through these challenges, gamify it, get connected with community. It's just a really fun time. But in light of this membership that we have, that you all can join, we do want to congratulate and highlight one of our members for a big win. This comes from MLC, titled Declutter Challenge Win. They shared, I was surprised how hard it was to let go of my shoes. Spent too much time thinking of the memories attached and not how they aren't used any longer. Haha. Ultimately, so glad I did it, not planning to stop at the 7 days, 75 items so I can keep the clutter down. So that's referencing the challenge that it was 7 days, get rid of 75 items. And well done, MLC.
Yes.
This is exciting.
Congrats, MLC. That's so great.
So anyways, thanks all for listening. We hope that this helps you do Disney at an affordable rate for you with what you want to do. And also, if this membership sounds really cool, we'd love to see you in there. Again, there's courses, interviews, challenges, friends, tons of friends. And there's actually a whole subgroup in there who loves Disney as well and is trying to figure out ways to get to Disney. So there's a reason. frugalfriendspodcast.com/club. See you in there.
Bye.
Frugal Friends is produced by Eric Siriani.
There's so much I could say about Disney, but I want to keep listeners.
I feel the same about Taylor Swift. So,
Yeah.
and there are some things that you just can't talk about
I know.
openly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? I do appreciate that Disney is less expensive than Universal. And for that reason, thank you, Disney.
Thank
It's
you, Disney.
remarkable to me how expensive Universal is. And I think with Disney, you don't have to get like park to park. It's not as important. You can 100% spend many days in just one park.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
like, it's cumbersome to get to another park. Like I wouldn't even imagine to do that. Whereas Universal, it's like you have to get park to park. And then they tack on like a couple $100.
There's literally a ride you can't do if
Yeah.
you don't have a park to park pass.
Which is genius on their part.
Of course.
But like I tried to get a singular day ticket as a Florida resident to Universal, and it was over $400. I didn't go. I'm like, no, I'm too principled for this. I am not going to spend $425 whatever plus tax dollars it was to spend one day at Universal. So
Yeah.
Disney for the win on that one.
Absolutely. They do have, I mean, they're expensive as heck, but they do have some good specials for Florida residents.
Yeah.
If you're
It
going
is
in
a
the right
fun,
time.
and I will say, I didn't share this in the actual episode, but I got the most into Disney when my niece and nephews came down and went. You were even a part of this, I think. I painted my nails. Now, I did it myself. I didn't go pay someone to do nail art on me, but I did do my own Minnie Mouse nail art, which is, extreme for me.
Which
I
I've
don't-
never
I
done
don't
before,
do
for the
that.
record.
Yeah.
I bought Minnie Mouse ears, so you'll see a lot of Instagrammers and influencers with their Minnie Mouse ears. Quick tip, I got them on eBay. I got 2, and they are official Walt Disney World ears from Disney World Hong Kong. And I got 2 for less than the price of buying 1 at the parks. So if you
well
want
done.
your Disney ears,
If
it's
you want to be
eBay.
able to spot your children in the crowd,
Yeah.
don't do Disney ears. Do Pacers hats.
Do Pacers hats for sure. But yeah, so many things we could say about Disney, positive and negative. But I think we'll leave
We're gonna end
that.
it there. We're gonna end it there. Go get a snack.
With the best all-inclusive vacation deals to Mexico and the Caribbean, booking your getaway with Cheap Caribbean Vacations means you have more freedom to do your deal. Whether you want to enjoy snorkeling, endless margaritas and more, or simply soak up the sun and sand in a tropical paradise, Cheap Caribbean Vacations has your deal for that. Plan and book the exact getaway you want at exactly the right price for you by using our exclusive budget Beach Finder. Or find a featured all-inclusive package to Iberostar Hotels and Resorts and do your deal at cheapcaribbean.com.
Bring home Napoleon,
Destiny has brought me here.
the action epic from acclaimed director Ridley Scott.
What is your name?
Napoleon. You are the greatest leader in the history of the world.
Witness the rise
You are nothing without me.
of the legend. Starring Academy Award winner Joaquin Phoenix and Vanessa Kirby.
I'm the first to admit when I make a mistake. I simply never do.
Napoleon. Buy or rent on digital now. Rated R.